Hi, Ruby.
From the information here, we would
Hey,
review it as
how's it going?
Good. Thanks for joining.
allows
Yep.
us to
Good
understand
to see you.
why they would not be able
Good to see you. Did you ever get a hold of Kristinia?
house. The key thing that
I think I see her in the attendees right now.
really indicates that like
Oh,
she
great. Okay, Curtis will handle that. Mic check. Curtis, mic check.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay, good. Good. Okay. Guys, yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think Christina's trying to join, but doesn't have a link or is uncertain of how to be let in from the waiting room.
I'll go. I don't see her. Hold on. Oh,
She's
there she
in the
is. Okay,
yeah.
I got her. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, she'll be there shortly. Okay, Mustafa as well.
Great. That's great. Thank you, Curtis.
Yep.
Oh, and I guess they also, you guys, maybe have to turn on her mic.
Mm, no, I mean she
No.
should be
Mhm.
able to control that. She's been promoted to a panelist, so she should be able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
She's traditionally had an issue with the Zoom that we use here, not being able to unmic herself because she uses a screen reader application that doesn't do the Zoom functions as well as we'd like. So I think we might have to unmute her at some
Yeah,
point.
and it looks like she just got knocked off again. I'm not sure what went on there.
Okay. Hold on. That's a little different to me, so let me try to figure that out. I don't um hold on. I just promoted her to a panelist, although I don't see her name appearing with the other participants as of yet. Oh, uh-oh.
She's
Okay.
back. And
She's back in this attendee. Okay, now I'm not quite sure what to do with her. If it does not move her, um,
Tamara, as the co-chair, what would you like to do with Kristinia?
Sorry,
In regard to just if she's having technical issues, would you like to continue the committee meeting? If we can't get this resolved, what would you recommend?
well, what I would recommend is, continuing to try to get her elevated to panelist, and have her lead the meeting since she is the technical co-chair. I can get the meeting started and have the agenda, rolling, but hopefully in the background that's being prioritized and elevated so that we have our co-chair, leading the charge. And hopefully the access will be available to her soon. But if we need to open the meeting, I'm happy to do that. Maybe just another minute.
Daniel, when
Sounds
I used the link that you emailed out most recently, I don't think it made me a committee. I don't know. Like, I don't think it had elevated me. So when I went and clicked the link that was in my calendar that had been sent out before, that's how I got in here as a panelist. So I don't know if she's using that link or.
I would say I would recommend for all of us to let Curtis manage that. I think we will get easily into kind of the minutia of it if we all try to do it. I think if Curtis needs support, let's wait for Curtis to ask for that. And then Tamara, if we can just be ready to move forward if we have to, or of course it is the prerogative of the committee to
That works.
not move
You
forward.
can only unmute me. If you try to promote me to panelists with accessible technology, that knocks me out because the screen readers can't read it. So everybody knows that now. The only way you could bring me in is unmute me.
Kristinia, so happy you're able to join now.
Okay, now that I know that, okay, we won't have that issue going forward. I'm new to this, so I didn't understand that. But now that I know, the goal is to unmute you first, and then it will allow you to connect. Okay,
Correct.
we got it. Okay, thank you, Kristen.
Go ahead and start, Tamara.
Yay. Okay. Are we recording? Are we on? Are we live?
We are live. Thank you everyone for attending today.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. My name is Tamara Bauman. I am currently a temporary co-chair for the System Performance Committee. Welcome to the September meeting. I am temporarily filling in to start us off. And I think, Kristinia, are you able to lead now, or would you like me to continue with the grounding? If somebody wants to read the theory of change, I would appreciate that. Otherwise, I'll just go ahead and do it.
I-
Oh, go
I
ahead.
can read it if you have it up on the screen. I don't have it with me right now.
Oh yeah, and I'm terrible at like that technology piece, so I'll just go ahead and read it since I have it pulled up in front of my face. So the theory of change reads: if we create a homelessness response system that centers the voices of people with lived experience of homelessness, then we can focus on responding to needs and eliminating inequities to end homelessness for all. So we have a really pretty packed agenda, and I think with that, is anyone have a blessing or a land acknowledgement that they would like to share? It doesn't have to be super detailed, just some kind of blessing or honoring of the land that we sit and the people who have stewarded this land that we are now occupying.
Yeah, this is Ruby Romero. I'll just say that I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the land of the Duwamish people and other Coast Salish tribes, and that we are blessed to be here in this beautiful land that they have been such great stewards of for as long as they've been here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I think the next piece we'll move into public comment. Is there anyone in the attendees list that has a comment to share? No, I don't see anyone in the attendees list. So I think we're good to go. The next piece would be led by Kristinia, and it's the feedback regarding board updates and committee goals.
Takes me a little bit back and but board updates and committee goals, and let me get to that sheet, which is a separate sheet. Okay, for committee, Board update. Well, for board update, I have some figures that BitFocus will share with us current work, including what's going on there. And we will also discuss the new HMIS onboarding policy, which will be led by Daniel. And then we will discuss new guidelines review about updated HMIS operational guidelines that are there, adding new agencies for coordinated entry, and review of HUD's fiscal year 2026 data standards and internal essential the messaging plan. And also, you know, we've added some additional data standards ourselves that King County is going to collect that is not required by HUD. And then discussing our HMIS lead compliance matrix and make sure any oversight, and then have a discuss if anybody has anything good for our order. That's what I have for today. Any additions or changes, Daniel?
No,
And
that
as
sounds
far
exactly
as
right.
the COC board updates, we have been following, and as a lot of you know, HUD is moved, I don't want to say the wrong word, but has gone back, HUD was going to do biannual NOFO reviews, and now we're back to annual NOFO reviews, and there's a chance the NOFO is going to drop late from HUD, and we don't know some specifics around it. There is planning to be some guidelines and changes that HUD has regarding the NOFO. So the COC, like around exclusionary rating practices, et cetera, that HUD has put out through the HUD Exchange, some bulletins. So the COC's watching that, and I don't have anything to update about coordinated entry, but I will say we are coming up for another, call it a party. Guys, it's not a party. When we all come together.
Retreat.
Retreat. We have a retreat coming up soon again that we'll be planning. And then that's all the updates I have regarding other board updates and committee goals from ourselves and others. I don't know if there's any quick updates that others would like to share with the SPC. I know, one other thing, the charter. And if you haven't gotten an email from Catherine, please reach out. The Charter Review Committee has sent out the charter for everybody to provide input and ideas around. So if you have the time to look at the charter briefly and provide some input to Catherine and the rest of the Charter Review Committee, they would love to hear your feedback on what the charter says and changes we need forward. So that's the committee updates I have.
Yeah, I believe those, thank you for that, Kristinia. I think the comments are due by the 19th, so by this Friday. And it's a lot of reading. So if you haven't started, get started now. But it's a lot of really good reading and a lot of, I learned a lot over this past week of doing a deeper dive. So I really think a lot of people would benefit from that as well. And I also, as far as an update from my side, I am working with a business coach to provide a well-being revolution presentation around well-being metrics for our homeless response system. And there will be a presentation coming up this Friday if folks want to join, where someone from a technology company and I will be presenting this vision of a partnership that would allow us to implement a well-being audit tool of our homeless response system while co-designing and co-creating solutions with community, driven by community. And there's a couple of different grant and funding options I'm looking into. So that because of its relation to HMIS and data and transforming data and collection and analysis, I just wanted to bring that up to the table. But yes, anyone else have any updates?
No, I would say that definitely covers it. And just the charter review is important, and just encouraging those who have not participated yet in that review to do so if they can. If they have any questions, they can always email myself or Catherine or the COC.questions@kcrha.org.
Yes, and I'll put a final plug in. If you've got the time to send messages to Murray Cantwell and whoever your ledge is, please do about the NOFO dropping. We really need, the later they take, the later it's going to take for us to work through it, get people paid, etc. We need to let our federal reps know, and we know they know, but let them really know that the NOFO needs to drop. And we need to have it set to standard, no reduction in monies coming into us. We can't, we just can't. So next, I'm going to over to Janelle and BitFocus.
Excuse me one moment. Could we do roll call really quick?
We did not do that. Thank you.
No
Usually
problem.
that's the very first thing we do.
Oh, okay, so
Tamara, I don't
Oops,
I don't have
sorry
a
about
list.
that.
okay.
No, oh
Well,
no.
I can go down the list of names and just say yay or nay. Well, nay will be obvious because no one will respond. So let me go down the list. Tamara Ballman,
Hey, yay.
thank you. Sherry Tillman. Okay. Ruby Romero.
Present.
Marvin.
Here.
We know Kristinia is here. Frank. Okay. Ben.
Sorry, I'm here.
Thank you. Victoria.
Here.
Mustafa.
Present.
Okay, I was gonna say he let us know he's gonna be in and out.
Okay. And then Shauna.
Here.
Thank you. Okay. Roll call is complete. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Curtis.
And I believe the next portion goes to you, Daniel, yeah?
Yeah, just introduction here on this. On the agenda, I want to thank Lauren and Rohan from BitFocus for putting together a slide deck. This is really just to give this committee an update on the system's overall usage right now, and then where we are in our work plan for the year. Depending on your perspective here, this may reveal how much we have left to do, and how much we have to keep the momentum through the rest of the year so we can get all of our work done and make sure we're supporting each other. And with that, all the support from the BitFocus team, thank you in advance. And without further ado, please feel free to present. And if you don't have presenting mode or the share mode, please let Curtis know, and he can, I think he can help us get there, but hopefully that's showing up for you both.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, I do have the option to share the content. Let me share the content. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rohan Samuel, one of the community admin specialists at BitFocus, and I'm here with my colleague Lauren today. And in this presentation, we'll be going over the annual data quality improvement plan that we created and published in the last quarter. So the annual data quality improvement plan consists of 4 data quality dashboard, which covers data from different sections that are entered into HMIS. And the purpose of this data quality plan is to support data that is accurate and reliable. So reports like APR, LSA, and SPM truly reflects what's happening in the system. It supports performance management, so high quality data, allowing community to measure outcomes like returns to homelessness and housing stability. And lastly, it builds a reliable data so that the leadership can use that data for planning, funding allocation, and system evaluation. There are 4 dashboards that we created and is available for HMIS leads to view in Clarity. And they are Clarity inventory monitoring, client privacy monitoring, overlapping enrollments, and data quality monitoring. And we send these reports in a set number of schedule. And for the Clarity inventory monitoring, they are sent in a monthly manner. For the client privacy monitoring is sent at the end of each quarter. And the overlapping enrollment and the data quality monitoring is sent in June and September. So the first dashboard is the client privacy monitoring dashboard. The intention of this dashboard is to ensure that HMI's client privacy policies are followed. And within this dashboard, we have a different set of data that we collect. So I'll be going through those set on what they do. So the first set of data is that the clients that require ROI. So this data contains a list of clients that have an active enrollment, but do not have a release of information on file. And the policy is that if the client needs the PII to be shared in the system, we need to have an ROI in their file. And if the client do not consent, then that client will be de-identified. The next set of data is the clients that needs to be reviewed for de-identification. And this includes a list of clients whose release of information is recorded as no, but we do have their personal identifiable information, PIIs, recorded in the system. So again, if the client do not want the PII to be shared, we need to have the client refused and their profile will be de-identified. And the next set of clients is the private records that needs to be set to public. HMIS is a shared data system, so all clients' record must be set to public. If any client doesn't want the data to be shared, then we have the revocation of client form, which will be de-identify the client record. And for this set of data, the correction expectations are that when we send out these records, they must be corrected immediately. The next dashboard that we created was for the overlapping enrollments. And like the name suggests, it includes clients that have an overlapping enrollment between other agencies and also between other project types. So for the send out schedule for this report is the last report was sent in June. So the list of clients, the time period for those clients was from 10/1/2024 to 5/31/2025. And the next set of report will be sent in September, and that will include clients from 10/1/2024 till September 1, 2025. And for this report also, the corrections must be done within 30 days. That's our recommendation to the HMIS leads when they receive this data set. The next dashboard is for the program management and data quality overview. So within this dashboard, the first set of data that we look at is active programs and their active funding sources. So something that we have noted in the past is that we have programs with expired funding sources. So this will allow the HMIS lead to view their program's funding source and see if any of the funding source need to be updated, so they can let us know and we will update that in the system. The next set of clients data is active users and their HMIS activity level. The HMIS lead can review who all are the users in their current agency, and they can refer their users to any appropriate training that they need. And the last set of data is related to clients' data for their program enrollment at the different collection stages for program enrollment. And in this report, the clients have data recorded at different data collection stage, and it includes at enrollment record, annual records, exit records, and also show the length of stay in the program. And a client record will only appear in this report if it has an issue with any of the expected data element in the different data collection stage. And they can also review their clients' length of stay in the program and see who all are being stayed in the program for too long, and they can make appropriate decisions. The send out schedule is similar to the overlapping dashboard. The last one, the last report was sent in June, which included 10/1/2024 to 5/31/2025. And the next one will be sent in September, which includes 10/1/2024 to 9/1/2025. And the correction expectation for this dashboard is that all the errors must be reviewed. And if it can be corrected, it must be corrected within 30 days. And the last dashboard that we have is related to the inventory. And this dashboard shows information on the current assignments, current unit assignments for clients. And it will show which clients are assigned to which units. And it will also show the unit status, such as available or null, depending if the unit have a client assigned or not. It will also show information related to CE participation, like whether a unit is available to receive referrals from CE, or the CE referral status if there is a pending referral to the unit from the CE team to process. The next set of data is the building and the unit properties. And this data includes unique properties about the various buildings and unit agencies may utilize for client support. By providing complete and accurate building and unit information, it creates a greater system of transparency and can improve the quality of incoming referrals. And this helps to improve the overall client experience. And the correction expectation for this set of dashboard is that it should be corrected immediately once they receive this dashboard. And that's all the dashboards that we have in the annual data quality plan. Does anyone have any questions regarding the dashboards?
Rohan, I don't have a question, but I wanted to give some complimentary information to the group. And thank you for that presentation, very comprehensive. What I want to share with this committee is what Rohan just displayed to you is a step in the direction to automating data quality management for our providers. So it'll make it easier for them to make corrections, clean that data for improved federal, state, and local reporting. And we get closer to having that near perfect data quality. Well, it's a dynamic system, so there's always going to be changes as people learn more information about their clients. But this allows agencies to go in, look at that and say, I think we need a correction here. Or if they hear from their client, they need a correction, they can see if that got updated by looking at that dashboard. This also is taking agency feedback on how we can do data quality checks before we get to federal reporting season so that we can do this throughout the year. And this is just really important so that when we're making decisions, you all are in different spaces making decisions, you have a higher and higher confidence in the data and that we're executing on the feedback we're getting to make it easier and improve the system for agencies. With that, I will take it back to questions if you all have any. And we'll look in the chat as well to see if there's anyone questions. Small group.
I see Ruby has a question.
Oh yeah, no, hi, this is Ruby. Thank you so much for this presentation today. This is great to see this moving in a more collaborative direction. I've always felt that we could have a lot more control over how our system can like communicate to each other, right? Like within service providers and whatnot. So I'm really happy to see this happening. Making it easier for people to enter information is always going to be a good thing. And I just wanted to say that this is really exciting and I look forward to engaging on this further. I didn't have any questions though. I just wanted to say thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad to provide these dashboards.
This is Kristinia. I have a question. So when a dashboard is, when you put something up on the dashboard, how far behind, I'm probably asked, I have a brain injury, so I apologize. how far behind is that? Is that like real to date information, or is that like 2 months ago? How is that information on all those dashboards?
So the information you do have, this dashboard is available for the HMIS leads to view in the data analysis tab within Clarity. And they do have the option to set the date ranges to view the data. The data that we sent out is in the previous year till to the date that we sent out. So for example, if we send a report in June, that will include the previous fiscal year till that is from October till May 31st.
But when users are accessing the information in the system, it's real-time data. It's not delayed at all.
Yeah.
So to clarify, just for my own understanding, hi, this is Ruby again. Sorry, Kristinia. I'm just chiming in here. Does that mean that when I potentially log into HMIS and I make like an edit, right? Is that kind of what we're talking about here? In some cases, if we make an edit or something, it would be reflected in real time, but the reporting would still at like a 6-month basis. Is that correct? Is that what I'm understanding?
When you run this report in HMIS and you have made an update, that will be reflected in this report at the time you run it.
Ruby, I believe the question kind of in there was about what gets sent out to providers. They can go in at any time and look at this, but there is a schedule that we have them on where we're sending that out. So prompting them to review. So we're just supporting the agencies saying, hey, here's the report, please review it. And also you have access to this on demand.
Thank you for that clarification. That helps me understand a lot more. And thanks for asking that original question, Kristinia. It sparked my interest.
Big thank you to Rohan and Lauren for putting this together, the many countless hours of designing and implementing and going back and forth on what's going to be easiest for providers to understand that data. I also special thank you to this committee for passing the data quality thresholds and metrics that we did this year to update that so that we can just tighten our overall data management. So appreciate everyone. If there's no other questions, happy to move on, Kristinia.
Just quickly, BitFocus, can you explain what BitFocus is? I don't think in especially this new realm of people, we've heard exactly what BitFocus does and what its mission, kind of, I don't know if either of you can.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take that question. BitFocus is a software company. We are an authorized vendor of the HMIS database. So throughout the country, there are several software vendors that support the HMIS database that we receive our database specifications from the federal government. There are a handful of vendors that support the database. We are one of those vendors, and we are contracted by KCRHA, who are the local COC representatives and HMIS lead. They've contracted our team to not only utilize our software, the product, Clarity Human Services, but they also contract with our team who helps with that administration of the system. Does that answer your question? Yeah, or I can provide.
It does. I just don't think we hear BitFocus, but I don't think we ever heard what BitFocus was. So I thought, thank you for that introduction. It's really important that our team knows, our group knows what y'all do and your purpose and stuff. So next, if we'll move to Daniel and the new HMIS onboarding policy, and then we will call for a endorsement or vote afterwards.
That's correct.
Do we have quorum to make a vote?
Sherry Tillman showed up and
Okay.
yes, we have quorum.
Good. Okay, take it off.
Great. Can everyone see this or give me some feedback that you're able to view it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. How about now? Still good?
Better.
Yep.
Okay. A little background here. I'm gonna talk about onboarding new agencies to HMIS. We've had a backlog for quite some time of agencies that want to start using HMIS to support coordinated entry. And so there's been a lot of planning and design with the coordinated entry team and the HMIS team here at KCRHA. And we finally have the final onboarding process. And so what I'd like to present to you today is this new process that alleviates that backlog and actually allows us to manage growth, meaning we won't onboard too many people at once or without any prioritization. The coordinated entry team put together the criteria that they're looking for to bring on new agencies. Now, this is not this does not apply to agencies that have a funding requirement to be an HMIS. Like always, if they have a requirement by their grant or funder or some administrative requirement to be an HMIS, we will onboard those. That process remains the same. This is for agencies that we do not have a contract for at KCRHA. And for those of you that may not know this, there are a lot of homeless service providers. Some get government funding, others get philanthropy, are privately funded in other ways. And so we do not manage those contracts and they don't have the same requirements. However, we understand that it's important that we have accessible and an open pathway to folks who need coordinated entry services that may not be served by those who are contracted by KCRHA. So this is a really good step in the direction to expand that onboarding. You could see there in the agenda a few items I'm going to go through, and I would love to have some discussion and some questions to make sure that you all feel like you understand this change and expansion. My assessment and recommendation right out of the gate is this is a good thing. This means we can bring those agencies in, and now we have clear guidance on who to prioritize to bring into the system to benefit those who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness and get them connected with interventions. So I want to just talk about quickly here, what is the current workflow for agencies to come on board? For those of you who've been here and have worked with us for a little bit, this is not going to be new to you. For those of you who are not familiar with this, agencies go online. They go to our joint KCRHA and BitFocus website. There they can apply to be a new agency to participate in HMIS and collect data. Then they have an agency partnership agreement, that MOU they have to sign to say that they agree to all the rules and expectations to collect data and to be part of our reporting universe. And then we have a technical agreement that basically outlines that they have someone at their agency who's going to be what we call the HMIS lead. That's going to be our point of contact for anything HMIS related, and that they are coming to the trainings, getting updates, and ensuring that they are up to date in all of their knowledge on HMIS and any changes that we make to the system. So if we have any changes, that person at the agency will make sure that everyone on the agency is aware of those and that they attend the required trainings that we have for them. And then from there, the BitFocus team, that's Lauren and Rohan and others, they will reach out and then they will get them trained, and then they will get them access, and then they will start working with us. And then there's some follow-up there that the BitFocus team does, and you can see that in this sequence. Now, what's different here with this new process is because they are not contracted or have a requirement by any funder or by any mechanism that KCRHA can control, I have added an extra step here for these agencies. And this is basically the due diligence step. This is where we're going to do a risk assessment before they get access. And I'm going to be working with our compliance team on a consultation on what exactly this is going to look like. But the main areas that we're going to be looking at are, does the agency work with folks who are experiencing homelessness? and have a need to be in HMIS. That's first and foremost. If they do they have policies and procedures in place to protect and secure their activities in the HMIS? So do they have technology protocols and data protocols? If not, I will support them, and so will the BitFocus team on that technical assistance. And do they have any issues with carrying out the objectives of data collection and anything that would impede them from participating that we might need to know about? So just a general conversation with them on kind of why you want to be in HMIS, and is this going to be a good partnership, and are we mission aligned, essentially. That is the new step. What this looks like, and pardon me here, I have to go here. So the new HMIS agency policy. So in a few bullet points here, this is for those who do not have that contract. This will help more groups work together to serve people experiencing homelessness. They do have to show that need like I described there, and then I will do that assessment. And then for this group, if KCRHA, as the HMIS administrators, deny that request, the new guidance in line with our current guidance for HMIS would mean that they have the ability to appeal that request to this committee. Should we not allow them, for some reason they have not met the threshold to be in the system, we would have that discussion with this committee, and then you all would be the decision makers on that. So you play an important role here. And I know that's a pretty light presentation, but I do want to open it up for discussion and questions.
Hey Daniel, this is Ruby. And yeah, I think I was present for the past couple years while this has been like talked about and in development. So I'm excited to see it kind of being presented. I just want to make sure like that there's the safety net in there, that, you know, because I think that we did go through a process before where, you know, and this was a while ago. So I'm not trying to rehash old things. I'm just bringing up the idea that, you know, when the appeal comes to the committee, that the committee does have the final say. Is that what I'm hearing? Or is it that it's more of like still a collaborative talking with the organization? Because I think that should still be like a practice that we have, where the organization and maybe the SPC and the HMIS lead staff would be all in the same room having a discussion, or, you know, just trying to kind of figure out what that protocol really looks like. If there's any way we could go a little more in depth, or maybe this is something we have a conversation off camera or off the meeting, but just, yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, I think I'm capturing that. If the new agency meets the requirements, and one of the in the main requirement, and I'm sorry I didn't mention this, the main requirement is that they are able to offer navigation services for the person that they're working with. This is really the baseline requirement from the coordinated entry team. Rather than having folks just introduced a referral to an intervention, they actually have someone that will shepherd them through the process, which is very critical for success. And that includes walking them through and explaining coordinated entry and getting the referral in, and working with Tom and Leah and coordinated entry, if you know that group, to ensure that they get through that process without with those navigation services from the agency. I think to your question specifically, Ruby, should all of that go well, I will approve the agency. If they don't have what they need and they feel like they do have everything in place, that's where it would go to the committee to get an appeal. So this is in the event pretty rare because I've only done this, I've only had that once ever. And I think we're all aware of that when that happened. So I'm thinking likely rare, but should they not agree that they need more technical support and that we would help them with to get to where they need to be, or they are feeling like they got denied unreasonably, then that would come to the System Performance Committee and they would plead their case. And then this group would give their decision, and KCRHA, of course, would honor that decision. And I also, as HMIS administrator, would bring forth areas that I would want to see some improvement or further documentation. So you could make that decision at the committee level. Please let me know if I meandered too far away from your original question there. And
No,
then,
you did great. That makes absolute sense. And I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page with that. So thank you.
oh, thank you. Shauna?
I have a question too. Put me in the stack.
Thanks, Kristinia.
Okay, thanks. This is actually in response to your answer that you were just giving, Daniel. And, you know, I'm new to the committee, so I don't know the history behind the issue that Ruby raised and some of the requirements. I just want to offer the voice of a small agency. And again, we have HMIS because we have funding. However, one of our programs that does not have funding is a hygiene center. And we see approximately 15, 16,000 people a year, visits a year. And majority of our folks are not connected to other services. So like when I am out talking about our agency, I say, oh, we serve folks that are on the margins of the margins, you know. And I share this because we currently have 4 staff people that are running, including myself, that are running 4 separate programs: a food bank, a meal program, the hygiene center, and the shelter. So if we weren't already in HMIS and we were looking at some funding opportunities, you know, for our hygiene center, and wanted to be in HMIS and be compliant and be collecting the correct data to get ready for any potential RFPs, we wouldn't necessarily have a staff person that's able to be their housing navigator at this time. So I also heard there's an appeal process, so maybe this is the appropriate place to put these considerations. But I just, you know, my spot on this committee is to raise up the voice of the small nonprofits that do a lot of work, have a big impact, and have a big impact with people that often aren't connected to other agencies.
Yeah, I totally support that. And I think maybe just so I'm clear on how I was wording it, I was trying to advocate for the ability to have those discussions and understand the whole process of what's going on at the agency. If there was some sort of restricted, you know, I believe that everybody should be able to access HMIS and that we should be able to have a diversified, or not a diversified, a distributive conversation, because we're all interacting with so many people. So hopefully that's what I was being clear about. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was responding to Daniel's answer. So just keeping that in the forefront.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I want to make it clear that this particular policy is not related to general onboarding of agencies. This is for those who want to onboard and participate in coordinated entry. Not just, and I know it's not exactly what you were saying, Shauna, but I just want to make sure it's clear for everyone in the committee. This guideline is specific to those that want to participate in coordinated entry, do that case conferencing and nomination, and do the navigation piece. What the coordinated entry team has done, and this is data driven, looking at those, you know, those who are most successful, is there's a lot of people that want to help with coordinated entry and get folks through that. They do need support. And so what we're asking of agencies through this policy is, we want you to help. Can you help? Do you have the capacity to navigate for your the households that you're serving? And if you do, that is the right fit for you at this time. If there in the future there's other navigation funding or services, obviously this policy would be revisited. But right now, in the absence of any resources for navigation, this is really trying to prioritize those agencies that have that ability.
Well, we do coordinated entry. And again, we're the only touch point, right? A lot of our people are not functionally able for us to make an appointment for them to go to a regional access point and do their intake. So we have been trained at ICS to do that. And then we'll coordinate be the point of contact, because we might be the only ones seeing them, but we don't necessarily have a housing navigator that's dedicated to that. So I just was raising that, we actually had to apply and make a case in order to be, at the time it was VI SPDAT, to do the VI SPDAT and enter someone in to make a referral and coordinated entry. Because we are on paper a small agency, but the people we see are not connected elsewhere. So they don't have access to housing if they're not doing it through us, because they're not going to make it up to CCS or out to a community center, or, it's changed over the years how they do it, but.
I can echo that. I like referred to myself as a mobile coordinated entry assessor because so many of the clients that I worked with not only wouldn't go to it. I know that the regional access points are located around the area to increase accessibility, but the bottom line is people can't or don't always have the time to go, and especially yeah, they just the way that it works out, they might have to wait a long time, or they might be told to come back, in 3 days or something like that. So, although I know accessibility has been considered, I tried to improve accessibility by going where they were rather than having them come to me.
Yes, my question would be, within the current operational policies of coordinated entry, is completing a assessment form enough to get a client connected to housing, or do they need someone who's actively nominating them for housing resources? Because if it's the latter, then I can understand this desire to make sure that there is housing navigation capacity within the agencies. But if someone can get connected to housing without being nominated by a housing navigator who's working on their behalf, then it makes a little less sense.
And I apologize. I may not be catching the nuance in that, Victoria. I did put in the chat here a written form, kind of explaining what I did in writing, and you can see there the criteria that coordinated entry would like to have in terms of onboarding those agencies. Now, again, this is for agencies that are not funded, not contracted to KCRHA, that do want to have support their clients. And what coordinated entry is asking is, that is great, and we want you to be able to do the work of getting them through the process, and that includes being able to do enrollments in coordinated entry. They have capacity for that, doing all the housing triage tool assessments, housing needs form, and then being able to nominate, going to case conferences on behalf of those clients, and then helping them get documentation so that they can be successful in that placement. This is really, and I just want to make sure, this is really what coordinated entry has assessed and analyzed, and believes that this is the design that's going to be most effective and successful for those who want to use HMIS for the clients that they're serving. In the absence of those supports, coordinated entry does not, I want to be careful because I don't want to misquote them, but is not the efficacy of that journey for that client is not guaranteed if they don't have that safety net to get them through that process.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think something that's important to raise is I heard this was a prioritization tool in the sense of like, if you have this, then you would be more able to access it, but it's not saying that you can't access it if you don't, right?
Yeah, this is for this is for onboarding agencies that want to participate in HMIS specifically. The process for nominations and access points, that doesn't change.
I guess, yeah, I just want to hand it over to Kristinia because I know she had a question as well.
Yeah, I'm also concerned about the small businesses here because I know of, especially up here, Kenmore and stuff, you can have an agency that has 15, 20 clients and that's it. And you've got one person who's a jack of all trades and stuff up here. And I know one specifically wanted to get involved and they can walk that person through. I'm wondering if we can look at maybe a way of, you're right, I can't get out of this side of town very easily. And in my neighborhood, hardly at all to get to even where the closest access point is really over there at HopeLink. And so, yeah, is there a way to possibly look at, you have the Apple organization up here that can then talk to, I don't know, whoever agency over here, and maybe look at helping our small businesses, our small orgs, I guess, versus putting that limitation and think outside the box. How can we still connect those people who want to be able to get the HMI access, but may not have the dedicated funds to have it, or the experience of housing navigators, you know, having those kind of individuals? And maybe could we think about that as an option? Because I'm afraid we've got a lot, especially up here, a lot of small orgs, and down in South Seattle, South King, we have a lot of small orgs that would just do great, but need that a little bit more, if that makes sense.
And Kristinia, let's say, for example, in the example you gave, this small business that wants to help, if they apply to be an HMIS participating agency on behalf of coordinated entry, and they did not have the capacity to do to do the navigation assessment and case conferencing, I would deny them. I would say you do not have the capacity to do this, and it would not contribute to the success of your client getting through this process. If that agency wanted to work with me to see how they could get to that place, I would support them, provide the technical assistance so they could be in a position to be approved. But if they did not want to do that, and they felt like they were, without that capacity piece, we're still going to be successful, then they would appeal and it would come to this committee, and you could look at the evidence that they provided that says they're going to be as successful as those who have navigation services when they do not. You could assess that and approve them. Not you personally, but like the Royal Committee.
Yes, the royal we.
Any other questions before we move to break? We are perfectly on time, everyone. We have a break till 3:10. Do we need that long of a break, guys?
Kristinia, this is Daniel. I need to plug in some of my gear and
Okay, we'll be
take a
back
quick
at 3:10, everybody, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks.
Sounds good.
which let's see what the mayor's about. You know, I mean, who's running? Katie. So I need to know where I need to. What about Narcan? Can we get our hands on Narcan? Oh yeah, dude, we get some Narcan. I'll get us some Narcan. That's not.
What part of the country are you in, mister?
Talk to him.
Was that directed towards me, Christina?
Yes, it is. I heard you're traveling.
Well, I haven't gotten out of Rainier Valley yet, but big travel starts this evening as I head over to Spokane.
Cool. Enjoy the heat.
Thank you. Hey, Ruby.
Hi, Marvin. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. You have been a busy person because I haven't gotten a phone call in a month of Sunday.
You know what? I have news for you. I got a new phone. I'll hit you up. My apologies.
Marvin, I'm glad you
Okay.
on because right. So Marvin, this is Sherry. You do not return calls. I don't know what to do with you.
Exactly. He does not return calls or texts. He's hard to reach.
Thanks, I'm not out. Or emails. You went silent, Marvin.
I'm still here. I'm just saying.
We're gonna get it because right now the latest 32. Down to 27, but it's 32.
Okay, shall we move on, Daniel? Are you back? You might not be back yet. Daniel, you back yet?
Hello, Daniel will be back shortly. Really quick, this is Curtis. So those who are driving, could you please turn your cameras off for safety concerns?
Will do. Thanks.
Thank you.
AKA no texting and driving, guys.
Oh, good. Thank you, Curtis. Hi, everybody. I wanted to thank you for your patience. I invited Tom and Jeff, Tom, our manager of coordinated entry for KCRJ, and Jeff, our senior director.
We need to move to an endorsement first, right?
Yes, and I did bring them here in case there are any more questions about the policy. They could answer those for you in greater detail than I can, and sort of the intent and pretext behind it. And I wanted to ask Kristinia if you would allow maybe 1 or 2 minutes for Tom to give an overview and how they came to this decision for the policy.
Sure, that's fine.
Tom, thank you for joining. And I know this is kind of a cold call on my part, so appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks everyone. Pleasure to be here with you all today. So I think what Daniel let me know is that there's concern about the piece of this policy that says that if providers don't have the capacity to participate in coordinated entry in terms of doing housing navigation for the folks that they're working with, to not just get them access to coordinated entry, but then also work with them to complete the process and nominate them to resources, be talking with them about what types of housing interventions are going to be the best service match for them, and then working with them in the process to help gather all the required documents in order to complete a housing application, and then work through, if they receive a referral, like work through that referral to completion. That if the agency doesn't have the capacity to do that, then we would not accept their application. And the reason why we, when we were working through this policy, crafted it and decided for it to be that way, is because that is the piece of our coordinated entry system that is the biggest, most glaring gap in our coordinated entry system right now. Looking at the data for coordinated entry from 2024, it was indicated that we have, what we have is actually people are able to get access. We have, many thousands of people who do access the coordinated entry system, whether that's at one of our regional access points or through like what we call our community access points at emergency shelters, day centers, or outreach teams. But what we're finding is that we have a really huge, when we're talking about scarcity in the system, it's not just a scarcity of housing units, but it's also a scarcity of the system's capacity to provide navigation to people experiencing homelessness who need like a connection to a case manager in the coordinated entry system to like bring, you know, to work with them on the case conferencing piece so they actually get a referral to housing. And so this piece of the policy was our way of saying, like, if we're going to have new agencies join HMIS and join the coordinated entry system, what we're really wanting to see is those agencies not just kind of continue to have to enroll folks and you know, do their assessment, because right now the issue that we have is that we receive, you know, tons and tons and tons of community feedback that people go to regional access points and get their coordinated entry assessments, but then there's no case manager that they have who's able to work with them to actually navigate them to housing. And so that's a huge missing piece for us. And we saw this as a way of helping to increase and build that capacity, and also have this policy be in line with something to where, how are we, you know, innovating and bringing in new policies to actually meet some of the systems gaps that we have. So that's a little bit, I think, you know, to speak to some of the questions that Daniel told me that you all had. Sean, I see your hand too, but I also just really quick want to pass it to Jeff so that he can kind of offer some additional context. And then maybe after that, we can open it to some questions.
Thanks,
I
Tom.
see them in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. I just was joining as a attendee. Are you all able to hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I guess I would add two things to what Tom said. One is that I wasn't here for prior to the break, but it is very important to KCRHA, and I believe that this group also holds the same priority, making sure we're protecting people's information and ensuring that we aren't opening it up for usage by agencies. When you hear discussion of like, well, you should opt out of being identified in the system and things like that, we want to make sure that we can, with like absolute confidence, say we are very, very focused on protecting people's identities and their information and not giving out access where it's not appropriate, especially in the environment that we are in this day and age. So that's one piece of it, is we want to make sure we are thoroughly assessing who is requesting to have information or not, and not giving people access to that kind of information willy-nilly. We need to be very careful because that's valuable, protected information that we are offering. The second piece of that builds on what Tom was saying, that if an agency is able to, and remember, this would just be a self-report type of a thing, like, yes, we are, like, yeah, like they check yes or no, and if they check yes, then it's going to be allowed. So it's really up to the agency to make that determination. We're not necessarily lording something over them, but I think it is very important, to Tom's point, that we're not creating false promises for people. If we had an agency that is not able to do those things, both would we potentially be sharing information that we shouldn't be sharing because they don't have the capability necessarily to like do anything with it, and we want to make sure we're erring on the side of protecting people. But also it creates a false promise for folks. If they are not going to be supported in actually doing anything that would help them to connect to housing, but they think they have been told that, then I think that at that point, what we're looking at is an individual might not realize that they need to be working with somebody else, or that they aren't being advanced. We're really made a lot of false promises that could unintentionally be harming people, perhaps even intentionally. I mean, if you made that assertion and you didn't have the ability to back it up. So those are the two things that I think are really our person-centered reasons for saying we don't want to go a route that would be broader.
So I have a question. This is Kristinia, so put me in the stack.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then just naming that Shauna had their hand up first. So Shauna, go for it.
Thank you. I haven't met you two, but I think this kerfuffle came from my comments earlier that I am on System Performance Committee to represent the voice of the small agency. And I will tell you, we serve 17,000 people a year through 4 programs, and I have 4 full-time staff people. That's it. So even right now, we're already a coordinated entry organization, and my staff person that was handling that found the daily nomination system too cumbersome and too much of a burden that she quit doing it, because she was nominating the same people, huge list of people every single day, spending so much time doing that for no output, no connections, none of our people were getting anywhere. And the spots that were open were going to the larger agencies. And I don't really understand why. Like, for 3 years, we tried to get on that weekly case conferencing call and never were included in that. So I understood then, if we're not on the call, our people don't have a chance to get spots. But this new system, it still seems to have that flaw. And so I also know, from what Jeff just said, that you are managing, when HMIS BitFocus first started about 8-9 years ago, when we got everybody enrolled and we got everybody do the intake and the VI SPDAT and all that, we had 7,000 people on the wait list and we had 2-3 openings a month, right? And I know you're trying to balance that. And there are people in our agency that are not touched in any other agency. So if you don't let us, if we don't have access to those housing spots, our people are at a disadvantage for housing. And sending people to regional access points, or I think you just called them community something, that's great for a good chunk of the people experiencing homelessness, but there is that group of people experiencing homelessness that are not that high functioning. They can't get to a place and wait in line and, get to the right place at the right time on the right day, or, so I just invite people to always kind of keep that crowd in mind. I know when you're looking at like, how can we get the most people housed? Let's get the high functioning people's housed. Let's have the system that works for them. But there's also these people who have been on the streets for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they also deserve housing. We've housed 25, 30 people in 1 year, but that's because I had connections with people who had permanent supportive buildings that had units that didn't take funding. And so they were able to, we were able to do an application outside of coordinated entry. That's not fair. It shouldn't rely on me meeting the right person and finding out that they have these units, right? Like, but that's really 98% of the people we've housed have been those people. So that's why I raised it. I wasn't trying to like make a big, cyclone of consternation or anything. I just am always bringing up that small agencies serve people too.
Yeah. No. First of all, thank you. Thanks for, naming and stating all of that. And I don't look at it as kind of like a, like a kerfuffle at all. This is good, right? Like it's good for us to come together to have these conversations and make sure that we're kind of speaking the same languages and getting on the same page about things. So there is a lot in what you were saying. I want to try and touch on a couple of the pieces that I heard. The first thing I heard you say is kind of like, we want this to make sure that we're not just kind of having a system that's focused on the larger, more like, bigger funded and just like bigger agencies, but also the small agencies too. And I think that, that's actually exactly what this policy is about. It's about ensuring that the agencies that are not the big, like heavy hitters in our region, like the Reaches, the DESCs, the Catholic Community Services, like that this is a way that, I mean, this policy, its existence is explicitly so that there are smaller teams that don't have a contract that requires HMIS data reporting, that otherwise then wouldn't really be able to kind of have a foot in the door to have their staff become coordinated entry assessors, and then be able to participate in the system. And outside of this policy, what you're saying about like your staff, it sounds like your staff on your team already do have HMIS access. They're your agency is an HMIS participating agency. They are coordinated entry assessors. I want to tie this into what I saw from Ben in the chat saying, I miss Salty. It was the best. The single adult leadership team actually does exist again. I reconvened it earlier this year in June or July. And so we have been meeting every 2 weeks regularly since June. So that is another group that does exist again. And so I'll put my email address in the chat. And if you're interested in that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Let me make sure I didn't typo that.
While Tom's doing that, I'd also thank you for saying that, Tom. I want to make sure that we stay focused on
Yeah.
the actual thing at hand today, which there's numerous areas that we're working really to improve in coordinated entry, which the coordinated entry committee is actually spending a lot of discussion on. And to your point, Tom, this is really about giving HMIS access, especially to those agencies that we wouldn't have a link with otherwise, because they're asking for it and saying, hey, we want to get involved in this space. We do, by our own calculation, feel like we can handle doing this. And we're trying to open a pathway where they have that access and that ability to do so. Not something that we're requiring of them, but they are coming to us and saying, we would like this. And so we're saying, okay, we can allow that, but also still holding that precious responsibility of we've got to be careful about when we offer access to protect people.
And that too, Jeff, and I'd say, and this is what, thank you for keeping us focused. I just wanted to make that point because I saw it there. But the other piece too is that when we're talking about capacity, it's not necessarily like if you don't have capacity to keep up with this system that is, like, as you're saying, Shauna, moving and churning at a very rapid rate, that, too bad, so sad, we're not going to give you access. That's not the goal or intention. The goal or intention is like what I was saying before, which is, and it sounds like, so take your team, for example, at a small agency, and let's say, for example, if your team did not yet have HMIS access, this process, what it would look like would be, us at KCRHA going to talk to your team and saying, is your role to just enroll people in the coordinated entry program and do their assessment and then never connect with them again? You know what I mean? Like, as what happens for folks at like a RAP site. And if it's not, like, the capacity we're talking about is less like the capacity to keep up with the system that we've designed. And what I was going to say is that's another issue that, like, I am working on with both the coordinated entry committee and like the different population-based leadership teams, is talking about like this daily posting cadence. It's a lot for folks. How can we kind of mitigate that and work with the community to create something better? Those are active conversations that are happening, like I said, with the CEC and also with like our population-based leadership team. So that's not as much the capacity we're talking about. If that was, like, your concern is justified, right? But the capacity we're talking about is, because the overwhelming feedback we've gotten is, even if folks can make it to regional access points, which also heard loud and clear that, like, more vulnerable folks are not able to. And that's also what I referred to as, we call them the community access points. And so your team is a community access point. By virtue of having coordinated entry assessors on your team is a community access point. And there are many throughout the whole region, like I said, day centers, shelter programs, outreach teams that serve as those community outreach points, so that, folks who are more vulnerable and do not have the ability to get to a regional access point do have a way to gain access to the coordinated entry system. The capacity that we're talking about and what we would like to see, and I think also too, like, because of the overwhelming feedback that, like, my team's gotten from the community, I do feel strongly and securely in saying that this isn't just like a decision that, like, Jeff and I, or that, like, just KCRHA is making. Like, this does feel like something that is coming from the providers in the community that we work with on a daily basis, who are saying, we have folks coming to our shelter who said that they've gone to a regional access point 6 months ago, did their assessment, walked out the door, and no one has ever, like, updated them on, like, where they are in the coordinated entry process. Or the emails that I get in my inbox from folks experiencing homelessness saying, I went to a regional access point and I did my coordinated entry assessment. What is going on? That was 6 months ago and no one's ever spoken to me ever again. And so with this, the capacity that we're talking about is, We want to be bringing in, like you're saying, these smaller agencies into the system who are already doing that good work and saying like, and making sure that, are you going to enroll these people and or just enroll them, or also like, are we going to enroll folks and then also work with them to make sure that they are having like that guiding support through the coordinated entry system until they get to housing. You also brought up, I'm coordinated entry nerd, so you brought up some things in there too about kind of like just the scarcity and the capacity, and I'd just say like that's a legacy too of the non-existence anymore of the priority pool, and great conversations that I'd be really excited to have with this group, you know, at different times. But like Jeff said, you know, keeping it just to this kind of like new agency HMIS access policy. So I hope that that answers some of the questions that this group has about the policy today.
This is Kristinia. I'm really concerned about the, especially after listening to her, the heavy burden of around the housing navigator piece. It seems to be a really, at this point, we're going to be catching new, smaller organizations. We're not going to be catching, you know, we're not going to be having big ones applying because they're already on and they're already there. So we're talking about little ones that are going to be coming, staff of 4, 5, or 6. And I really, when I think of housing navigator, I was thinking of maybe a couple out, like 2, 3 hours a week. And then I listened to her and I was like, oh my gosh, that's 2, 3, 4 hours a day. And so I really have some really great concerns about how I'm going to call it staff burdened. It sounds like, and it sounds like we're not really going to get much regarding more groups, because they're not going to be able to handle that, if that makes sense. And I just feel like maybe we're going to be leaving out an integral part of getting people out of homelessness. I've had, and I'm going to say I'm a homeless person. I've had the worst experience from the big agencies regarding housing navigators. It's the big ones that have let me down, not the little ones, because the little ones try and they're honest with you. The big ones aren't. And so I'm really, you know, I could see us going and moving this forward, but I really, as a group, want to just caution us possibly leaving out a small group that, you know, maybe can do it, and maybe really specifically says, I have one client, I want to walk this one client through, and then have that discuss, like really specifically, instead of, I don't know how the wording is when you give them the paperwork, giving the guidelines, but if an agency or group or whatever it is called has one client and they say, I can walk that person from coordinated entry through housing navigation, etc., are we going to also be able to say, hey, we will approve you, we know you're going to walk this 1 or 2 clients through and not everything else? Or is it just going to be a, you know, we'll sign you up for coordinated entry, but you know, if you've got, you know, do you see what I'm saying? I'm worried about the bulk of it. Okay.
Tom, if I could dive in on that a little bit. I mean, Kristinia, you're exactly right. And that's actually the basis for the direction we're going. Because remember that we're talking about agencies that are coming to us and they're saying, we want to do this housing navigation, this coordinated entry work to get people into housing. Like they're coming and saying voluntarily, we would like to do that. And I think it's further incumbent on us to make sure like, it's helpful in this moment to make those agencies pause and say, hey, like, this is what that means if you're saying that that's the kind of work you want to do, so that there's not an agency arriving at, they've gotten the HMIS access and done tons of trainings and all these kinds of things, and suddenly they're like, wait a second, I can't handle all of this. I think it's better for us to, on the front end, make those kinds of things known. And also, I think that I don't know how it was described previously, but I want to emphasize that we're not requiring that they join coordinated entry every day for 2 or 3 hours a day. I think that the example you gave of maybe there's actually, Shauna, like that what you put in chat here about you've got a small pool of clients, you know them intimately, you want to be able to provide that support, you can help them in all the pieces of housing readiness, that type of a thing. So that what you are describing, Sean, is probably our ideal of an agency that has that connection, has that ability. We want you to be able to, when your 1 of 4 clients is ready, to then log in for a couple days in a row, make that nomination, knowing how it all works and what's expected, and then don't utilize it because you don't have your client ready. But really making it clear what that means on the front end would be an unfair thing to do to agencies and again to the people that might not understand all the nuances of the system behind it, so that they understand what they should or shouldn't be getting as support.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. And Ruby, I see your hand too, and I just want to say real quick, Kristinia, how to just affirm how much I hear you on kind of like the, like you were saying, kind of like the day-to-day like labor administrative burden of kind of like how our system performs and functions now. I literally just came from, the family providers leadership team meeting. We had the youth and young adult family provider, or sorry, the youth and young adult providers leadership team meeting, and in single adult like leadership team meeting about changing our posting frequencies, and all three of those groups saying like, we don't think we want to post every day, but my team has done really hard work this year of bringing not only the housing providers to the table, but also the providers that are doing the like emergency services, if you will, those access points, the ones who are doing the housing navigation together to the table to say, every single day is kind of a lot. Once a week was not frequent enough for like the housing providers. If a referral gets denied, then there's a lot of time carryover until that unit gets posted again. So, but I literally just came from a meeting today, really trying to bring the community together to talk about how we can have this be some compromise, between like once a week and the real big churn and burden of every day. So I, like Jeff said, I hear you and I completely understand that too. So yeah, so thanks for that.
Yeah, hi, this is Ruby, and I just wanted to say that I think that this is a good step, because, like I think what I'm hearing is that they would help people get up to capacity if they can, right? And so, and I think that's important. I think it's also important to have a standard that is like going to provide good outcomes for people. And I've been a part of some of those leadership meetings, and I will confirm that people are talking about the posting frequency and everything like that. These questions are valid and definitely being raised in the right spaces. And but yeah, I think that it's good to have this conversation about what does it mean to be a housing navigator. I heard Jeff say it's a yes or no question, or a really low barrier, non-intensive question. And so I think, like, from my personal stance is like what I heard from that small organization is, yeah, they are providing housing navigations assistance, but does that mean they have a housing navigator? And is that going to be the differential? Is, I guess, my final question.
Yeah, and to answer that, I would say it's kind of like, right, you point to it too, Ruby. The title is, like nebulous. It's like agencies will refer to their own staff as like case managers or case workers. And then like within the HMIS coordinated entry system, we have the coordinated entry assessors, that is an official title, right? Like you attended the assessor credential training, you've done your HMIS privacy training, and you have the credential and ability to do coordinated entry assessments for folks. And when we're talking about housing navigators, really the reason why I like to kind of leave it open is because would be talking with the agency about like, do you have someone on your team who would be able to do this work of helping people get their documents prepared for housing applications and, monitoring the postings available through coordinated entry at whatever frequency they might be, because they're, we're working on having it not be every single day, and having it be like that. So it doesn't need to be something that's necessarily already pre-prescribed. I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope it does.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to say thanks everybody for the conversation, and thanks for the, Daniel, thanks for the time and for the ability to come here and talk with you all about this today. And so, yeah, really, like I said, my email address was there in the chat, and happy to connect with folks if there's still some other, things left unresolved or what, but I'll pass it back to Daniel now. I don't know you know, to go from
Yeah.
here. So
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate
thank
you.
you.
Appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you both.
Shall we go ahead and move? I feel much more comfortable now that we've had that discussion. It makes a lot more sense than when we just first introduced it. So are we all comfortable at going ahead and moving forward? Do you need a specific vote for us, Mr. Daniel?
So Kristinia, actually, with the way that the charter is written, as the HMIS lead and the program lead for KCRHA, we can operationalize this. I think this community input is really great, and you heard it straight from the team that's going to be, you know, that asked for this based on their community, you know, engagement. So really, I think what I do here is just catalog that input and then make sure that we put that into action as we implement this. And so thank you all for the input.
Should we make a recommendation though? I mean, I kind of feel like maybe, I feel like, I don't know how the rest of the group feels, and not to be, you know, confrontational. I just think that it would be better for me if I felt like we recommended it, because I do think it is something worth recommending. Open to discussion on that, but.
Kind
Yeah,
of
I'll
like
leave that up
did,
to co-chairs.
yeah, I kind of like the same recommendation we did around the reporting status we did 2 months ago. Around
That's
gender
great.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we did have room for an endorsement if we wanted to do that now. And I'm going to call on Curtis. He would do the kind of go through for the yeses and no for the promotion of this policy. If Kristinia, you want to kick us off. And I feel like we had discussion. I don't want to miss procedurally what we're supposed to do here, but if we want to call the motion and see if there's any discussion and then go from there, I think that would be the appropriate next steps.
Yeah, this is Kristinia. I would like to move that onto the next level regarding HMIS organizations applying for HMIS access and follow up if there's any denials or any issues regarding that as it's written.
I second that.
All in
Elaborate
favor?
my hand. Is this an endorsement?
It's
Right,
an
this is
endorsement,
endorsement.
Mr. Marvin.
Thank you. I approve. I'm good.
Do we need a roll call vote or
This
just?
is, oh, sorry, Tremor, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah.
I can do the roll call.
Before
Thank
you
you,
do that, Curtis, could you, Kristinia, you broke up as you were stating the motion. Could you
sorry.
restate it? We'll have to capture that, and we want to make you like almost the whole substance of it broke up, and I don't want us to like not capture the thing for people not to hear it.
Sure, this is Kristinia, and I would like to put a motion to go not a, what's the word? Now I forgot. Not move forward. Recommend. Thank you. Recommend the new HMIS onboarding policy with a SPC endorsement to go to the next level.
And I
Ruby
seconded that.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion on that?
Okay, I will now do roll call for voting. Tamra.
Aye.
Sherry.
Aye.
Ruby.
Aye.
Marvin.
Aye.
Kristinia.
Aye.
Ben.
Aye.
Victoria.
Aye.
Mustafa. Okay, Mustafa is not with us, right? Shauna. Okay. It appears
Curtis, I
that
just want to make sure, did we get Kristinia? Kristinia, did you?
yes,
Yes, he did.
but we don't have Mustafa and Shauna.
Mustafa said he was going to be on and off today because of a medical issue. He was at a
Okay.
doctor's office. So we knew he was going to be coming and going.
Okay, perfect. Do we have to have quorum in order to vote for this, to motion for this?
If it's a motion to pass, yes, we do under Robert's rules.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, well, we have 7, so we're fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Okay, so we're fine.
That's right, Curtis. It's half plus 1.
Yep. So we're fine. So, it was voted and all 7 in I agree.
Great. Motion passed.
Thanks for that, Daniel. Sorry, I just wanted to get that official.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if folks having connectivity issues wanted to make sure that was stated. Great. Well, thank you, everybody. And thank you, of course, to Tom and Jeff for joining and for asking all those wonderful questions. I'll hand it over to you, Kristinia, back on the agenda. That was a pretty robust conversation, I think well needed. I do want to just point out we have about 13 minutes left and a few more agenda items. I'd like to maybe see if the co-chairs are willing to do some rollover on 1 or 2 of the agenda items. I just don't know if we're going to get to all of them. I don't think
That's
we
true.
will. There's not enough time.
Which one would be important? Gender field, HMIS lead compliance, or housing inventory to start with?
I don't have a strong record. They're all important. I'd like to hear if there's anyone in particular that has a preference. Marvin?
Gender veil.
All right, we'll move on to gender. Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll go over gender, and then the other 2 items I will include for you to review on your own, and I'll work with the co-chairs to see if we want to present those or just have them as supplemental information. The HIC is an annual, just to say this, the HIC is our annual number of beds during the point in time count. And then the ongoing matrix, lead HMIS matrix compliance and oversight, that's just going to be ongoing work till the end of the year. So I think we're pretty good on that one. In regard to the gender field, I want to make folks aware, Lauren, I know you're on the call. If you could hold just for a minute in case there's questions about this. Where we are right now is HUD has given directions to the HMIS vendor, which is Lauren and Rohan, who do that work for us, on the specifications for the introduction of a new data element, 4.21, which is the sex field. That is a brand new field. What we have right now is communication ready to go to our partners internally here at KCRHA to inform our program staff, and externally to make sure our providers, agencies, and case managers are aware of this change. And right now we still do not, Lauren, fact check me, we still do not have instructions from HUD on how to instruct users how to ask that question. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the BitFocus team is ready to introduce this data element into the system so that we're in compliance with HUD for the data collection. Right now, we've reduced our options down to just 2, but most likely one, which I'll talk about right now, is we're going to be introducing this into the workflow. Case managers will collect gender. We've maintained that. This committee voted to maintain that. And with the sex field, we will likely be defaulting it to data not collected and allowing users to change that. But because there are no policies around data quality, meaning what our expectations are of agencies, and we don't have any instructions from HUD, the messaging around this is going to be, do not let this data element interfere with the client engagement. Do not let any data collection protocols get in the way of that client rapport for successful housing. And particularly with this sex field, if they are not in a position to be able to articulate how to ask it, since HUD hasn't given any guidance, we're going to recommend that agencies, unless they have that rapport and have that relationship, they can ask that question. They can show it to the client and show it as is. In the absence of that, there is no mechanisms right now on a quality standard or instructions that KCRHA has. So to comply with HUD, we'll have it in the system with that messaging to our providers. I'll leave it there. Please ask me questions. And Marvin, I know you kind of wanted to prioritize this one. Is there anything in particular you were thinking?
Well, it's a change, and it asks a question that is not comprehensive of what makes the person who they are. They're replacing our gender question with a more antagonistic question to who a person is, and whether or not they'll report and maybe not avail themselves for services. It's also a point because it's one of the areas that our little work group has on this piece. So I wanted the rest of the Statistical Performance Committee to actually hear what those discussions have been and what they look like, and what they're, maybe learn a little bit of what we might think some of the impact will be or pushback will be. Thanks.
Yes, and for background, Marvin, I think you raised an important issue here. Hopefully my sound is coming through. The current White House put an executive order for this change, and HUD is simply following the orders that they've been given for that executive order. And that's been handed to the vendors, and now that trickles down to us to implement. In the absence of those guidelines and protocols, the direction here is to maintain compliance by adding it with the messaging. Again, I'm repeating myself a bit here with the messaging that there is no standard right now or instructions. So agencies can move forward with asking that question as long as it doesn't interfere with the client relationship and ultimately their support in getting them into housing.
Thanks, Dane.
And I know it looks like Shauna's no longer on the call. We had a discussion about this, wondering if she had thoughts. Anyone else? Tamara?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that this is a wonderful way to like resist through well-being. Resist the intention of the political powers that be, who are attempting to like impose things that violate our values. So we can get creative and refuse to comply through like by resisting based on a common principle that we are all hardwired for well-being. And so we will practice that. That should just be inherent in how we operate our systems as well. And so as I start to like gather the qualitative data through this well-being audit tool, I am hoping that that's going to shift not just like systems, but also like our culture, our mindsets, and how we do business with each other. And so I think when we're getting mandates to behave or to like comply, I think we can resist, but in a positive way, by either just reframing how we collect data, that it's not a violation of their stupid expectations. But it's also like empowering our community to claim that data, to claim it, and to claim our systems, and to claim ownership, I mean, and to then steward our systems according to the values and beliefs that we have identified as a community, like well-being. That is something that we've all, like as a system, at least as a COC, have adopted. And so we need to put it into action now. And so I'm hoping that, as this comes to fruition, we're also recognizing that there are healthy ways, and I'm still learning this myself. There are healthy ways to resist and still work towards a vision that we have for like the liberation of our people. So I guess that's all I had to say. Sorry to get off my sorry on my soapbox. I don't know where that came from.
I appreciate you sharing your values on that, Tamara. I think that's really what the assembly of this committee is to bring to light the things that are important for those that you represent and that you are delegates for. I will say right now, as the HMIS, part of the HMIS lead administration team, I really have no mechanisms in place to enforce compliance on that. Our policies and procedures have not been updated. These are fields that we still do not have instructions for HUD. So at this point, if an agency is not collecting that or unable to because they're not clear on how to, I have no ability there to enforce. And I think that would take some time for this committee to review that and look at that. So I don't think any of us are in the position to give anything other than messaging and saying this is here. Don't let it interfere with your client relationship, and more to come. So there's no mechanism. I just want to say that one. There's no mechanism for me to bring any accountability to agencies that are unable to collect that information.
But it's in the works. I can, because that's something I'm personally like developing through this side project. So I really, really hope that eventually this will become like an even more comprehensive, holistic picture of how King County responds to homelessness and how we, create a collective care, co-governance structures, like to steward what are essentially public resources and should be human rights. Like this, we have to like shift the culture of how we do business, is I guess is all I'm saying. And I'm sorry to be on my soapbox again. I will be quiet.
No, to that end, we will continue, as this committee voted on, we will continue to collect gender. In our 5-year plan, we have a commitment to monitor progress and outcomes for gender diverse communities who are experiencing homelessness. So we will continue to do that. It's in our contracts at KCRHA to monitor those subpopulations, those people, those communities. We will continue to do that. It's in our interlocal agreement with local governments to continue monitor progress for those groups. So we will continue to collect gender, and we will continue to monitor those outcomes and make improvements to the system to better the lives of all those experiencing unsheltered homelessness. And the data collection practices should not impede that progress. And that is recommendations from HUD in their prior documentation where they outlined, and we have this, we have these instructions, which is to continue to collect gender in an affirming way. And we have those outlined. Both the BitFocus team is ready with that messaging, and I have those instructions that prior to this current administration, which as far as I know, are still valid, that share all that process on making sure you're doing that affirming care with providers and their clients. Hopefully that was clear.
And that brings us to 4 o'clock. So we will go ahead and we'll look at getting the other 2 items added or discussed next month. Otherwise, I'm just going to look at the date for next month. Is the 15th of October is our next meeting. And if there's anything you would like to see on our agenda, if you could let Daniel, myself, or Tamara know, and we could work on getting it there for you. Otherwise, you all enjoy the rest of fall, and we will see you on October 15th. Okay?
Kristinia, can I make one request that we
Yeah,
at
go ahead.
least
Go ahead.
get the
Yeah.
supplemental data for the HIC, for the housing inventory count, shared out before we come back together to talk about it next month?
Sure. Get some paperwork out about it so people can view it ahead of time.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marvin.
Yep.
Thank you.
We will do so. All right. You
Bye,
guys
all.
have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Adios.